I am sitting here getting just all fucked up tonight. It's like the fourth video or whatever in a row that I've shot. And like I'm smoking or dabbing in each fucking video. I just smoked a whole bowl. I've taken like probably 4 or 5 dabs in the past 2 hours. 1, 2. It's still dabbing. It's still dabbing. It is still dabbing, babbing. Oh, oh, tell that to Gavin. Uncle G. So I promised that I would, just do a video just to share my thoughts now that I've had the Videomic Go 2, the Rode Wireless Go 2, and the Zoom H3 VR for a while now. The Videomic Go 2 we are actually using right now through the Wireless Go 2 and into the ATEM Extreme ISO switcher unit. And you know, so I can't pull the Videomic Go 2 or the Wireless Go 2 very well into frame, except for right here. I'm going to show you. So bear with me if the audio gets weird. I'm holding it in my hand right now. Um, but this is going to be the best that we're going to be able to get it into frame right here, trying to keep it pointed at my mouth. And then I will switch back to this camera, the table camera, just so you can see it right there. Yeah, so that is what we are currently using. So let's just start there and talk about it. A spoiler alert, just to get straight to the point. Um, these are all my main microphones right now for doing videos. This Video Mic Go 2, for the $100 microphone that it is, in my opinion, is amazing. It's got a nice, full, rich, but flat, or mostly flat sound. And the only pain in the ass part about it is just that I do so much from being away from the camera where I need the wireless thing. So I'm using the Wireless Go 2 to send that. And it's so I always have to sum the channel to mono in post, because it's being recorded on one side of a stereo spectrum. So then, you have to sum it to mono in order to get it to come through both speakers. Uh, but that's not a big deal. That is not something worth really complaining about at all. Um, because the Wireless Go 2 has two receivers. So, like, if I do end up doing another video with cousin Chris next month, then that will be a microphone each that me and him can use in unison, and then mix it in post. Because that's the type of situation where you're gonna want to use a lavalier and have something close on each person, because when you've got multiple, for one person like me, it's not a big deal to put a microphone just right out of the shot, or sometimes like right in the shot. But whatever. We try to be discreet with the placement. But it's not such a big deal because it's one person. You point the microphone at me. If you're doing a podcast type of thing, and like sitting across the table from each other, it's not that big of a deal really to use individual mics. And you will, in my opinion, again, get better results from something like that. And you'll get the best results from a large diaphragm condenser. With pop filter, which should go without saying, or whatever. But this is more video centric for being recording stuff like this, and a condenser would work in this situation, but it is more obtrusive, and you want to get it closer to you. Although this one, you still want to get fairly close to you. But I'm saying, generally a condenser you're going to want to have right here, so it could be really obstructive to the shot. Um, but I think that this sounds better than a lavalier is going to sound. This is essentially, I believe, a shotgun, um, you know, directional cardioid pattern. Um, but the wireless go-tos, I believe, use an omni pickup pattern. I might be wrong about that. But again, like I talked about in the video before, different tools for different jobs. It's always about picking the right tool for the right job. And so that is why, you know, I have the H3 VR also as one of my main cameras, because this is, in my personal opinion, I think that um, this is so something like this. An ambisonics microphone is something so terrible for like dialogue type of stuff. In my personal opinion, this microphone is good at one thing, and that is ambience. And for ambience, though, ambisonics is fucking beautiful. I mean, ambisonics on its own for like VR is kind of cool, because it's like, you can turn your head, and it's like the environment is turning with you. Or you know what I mean, like when you're in nature and you're facing a waterfall, it sounds a little bit different if you like turn your head to the side, so your ear is pointing now directly at the waterfall instead of your eyeballs. And that's what ambisonics is really for. But for me, it's for it's for ambience, because the real magic of it is, and I can actually pull that up on the screen. Okay, so this is what the file looks like when you open it. This does add a extra step in the process, but I'm gonna show you why this is fucking great. Okay, let's see. It for whatever reason, it never starts off perfectly straight, with the front like directly in the front, so you kind of have to move it around. But it's all worth it in the end, when you see what you can actually do with this thing. Okay, so now this is basically, if the microphone, let's come back over here, and now okay, so there's the back, so that's the front. Okay, so now we are recording right here, and then later we want to, this is the front, pointed forward. We're recording that. But then when you're mixing into surround sound, you're going to want to also have your if you're mixing into either 7 point whatever surround, or 9 point beyond Dolby Atmos whatever surround, you want more than just your 5.1 mix. So what we would do is we would go ahead, we've got it set up front ways right here, and then we would export this down here as a 5.1 mix to wherever, and then we come back, and I'll answer you in a minute, homie, I'm sorry. First, we move that front over to the side and get either the left or the right. It's kind of, comes out in the wash, to the front right here. And just try to get it as straight as possible. And then you export that as a 5.1 mix, and then I always label it, like for each export, as front, sides, and then we go through once we've done those, and then we try to get that F up on top, as good as we can. Oh, this is gonna that look. That's almost perfect. And then we will export that as our elevation mix. So the long story, the short version of this story. Let me get turned around and situated. Is that when I'm recording for 9.1.6 surround sound like we're using on Dreaming Turtles Relaxation and Chill, of course you don't hear the 9.1.6 discrete audio unless you download the raw files. Uh, but you'll hear the best of whatever YouTube puts it into, and I've listened to them through YouTube, and they still sound pretty good. The surround mix still translates pretty well. And if you've got an Atmos receiver or soundbar system, whatever, it will probably upmix anyway. Um, I digress. So when I did the Moms in the Sky with Diamonds series, I used, like 6 or 7 different microphones. I had microphones everywhere, 2 cameras. It took me, I want to say, probably 15 to 20 minutes just to set up. Um, and then when I went, before I bought the H3, I shot one of the videos from the Welcome to, was it the Bridge to Page County series? And I hadn't bought the H3 yet. And so I had 2 H2Ns because I had bought an H1N when I went to do the Moms in the Sky with Diamonds, and then that ended up being defective. So I sent it back and just put a little bit of extra money with it and got a second H2N. So I was thinking, I could record the 5 channels from each of those, just put one in the front, one in the back, and it worked. Narrowed it down to one single camera and those 2 microphones, and then I put I think it was the Zoom H6 pointed toward the sky and was just going to pull that down to, spread for the elevation for the height channel. And then I got the H3 VR and I realized I could do all of that with one microphone unit. You know, when you're out looking for spots to film in nature, simplicity is, and lightweightedness, whatever you want to call it, um, having a lightweight, easy to setup is everything. It's gold. Time is money, as they say. I'm not making any money on any of this, but time is still money. It is gold. Um, you know, but I do, the big complaint I have about this. Well, let me circle back real quick. But so I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about the Videomic Go 2 and the H3 VR because and not the Rode Wireless Go 2, just because the Wireless Go 2 already has a successor. Um, the Wireless Go Pros, I have not, I don't have them, so I can't really tell you much. But they look amazing. I digress. So the things I really like and the things that I don't like about the Videomic Go 2, there's not really much that I don't like, honestly. Um, I'm really struggling to think of anything any real complaints about it is, you know, maybe it's a little bit plasticky or whatever, but the USB C output on it to use, like, you can, I've got actually the cable here somewhere um, to connect it to the iPhone. So you can use it as a microphone for your iPhone, and you can also hook it up USB-C to the computer and use this as a like USB microphone, and it works beautifully, honestly, in every single way, every single one of those ways. Um, I can't really find any complaints. Maybe the housing could be uh, a little bit better, but then that adds to not just cost but also weight. Um, the H3 VR, I can definitely say, actually, let me pull it back and switch it to over here. Um, One big thing, the wind handling on it, and to be fair, the Videomic Go 2, I have not really tried outdoors much at all, so I can't really say about the wind handling, the wind noise rejection or whatever. Um, but it's not good. It's not great on the H3 VR. Um, I get wind rumble a lot, even as it is right now. I have a rye coat furry on here, and then if I take the rye coat off of here, I've got the foam on here too, because you have to. You really, really have to when you're out filming in nature and you've got winds blowing through and stuff. You know, you can't use the same tricks necessarily that you could use in like a talking head situation or something, recording outdoors, because you know you're trying to pick the best shot, and the best shot isn't going to necessarily give you a wall to hide behind, or whatever. Um, but yeah, so that is a little bit disappointing. Also, the thing that I want more than anything for this H3 VR, and I've been bugging the shit out of Zoom's Facebook page every time they post something, about what would you want to see in the new year or whatever. I want an H3 VR. Well, I want more than just 32-bit float, but that's the biggest thing, is that I want that 32-bit float, because this is an ambisonics microphone and it picks up everything. It picks up everything, especially when your target is ambience. You know, it will pick up everything. 360 degrees, baby. 360 degrees. It's literally a ball, a sphere of pickup. Uh, and it's great for that. It's so, so great for that. Um, but, when you get like a dog barking or something that's, 50 feet away, and it's just like overpowers everything, and you set your levels to record the ambience, and that dog wasn't barking, but then suddenly that dog starts barking and you start clipping. uh, so a 32-bit float could be very useful. I haven't had any major clipping problems so far using this microphone, but I can see the potential for it. um, I'd also, like to see a little bit tougher housing, and maybe some better like weatherproof housing, because I do want to go shoot some scenes on like the water. Uh, like not in the water, obviously. You don't want to stick the microphone in the water. That's just gonna be plunk, plunk, plunk anyway. Um, but like shooting on Cub Run down on the river and stuff. And I would definitely not trust this microphone um, to be close to the water. And handling noise can be pretty drastic a little bit. So, you definitely want to get, the shock mount, a shock mount to go with it. Um, it makes all the difference in the world. This little shock mount actually works pretty good. Um, you know, Once you anchor down your filming, your tripod, and everything with everything on it, and you got it all set up. Um, it does pretty good. It does pretty good. Um, the wind rejection has been the biggest pain in my ass with this microphone. The having the dogs bark and the trains go by, stuff like that. Being so loud, that's kind of like all in the game, so to speak, when you're recording ambience. But that wind rejection noise is a big thing, and so is the not so really very good weatherproof housing. Um, I would love to see something like this made out of like carbon fiber, and seal all the gaskets and everything for weatherproofing. Uh, that would be awesome. That would probably though add dramatically to the cost. Um, but that being said, this thing is lightweight. It fits right in my camera bag and stuff, and no problems, no problems. Well, other than the ones I just told you about. There is some ambisonics alternative. Like Zoom is not the only company that has ambisonics choices available. Um, but as far as I know, they are the cheapest and the most compact, portable with the H3 VR. This thing is so small. There is a 32-bit float option out there because Rode has an ambisonics microphone. I think it's the same, what you call it, is it first order, where it's just four microphones. Um, but it's made by Rode. Um, and unfortunately, though, that microphone is, I think, $1,000, whereas this was 350, I think, or 300-ish dollars, something like that. I can't remember for sure. It's been a couple years now since I bought it. But then on top of having to get the microphone, what's missing? If you got the microphone right, you need something to plug the microphone into to record your audio, and so you can get the was it the Zoom F6 or the Zoom F8 that will record and has enough inputs for ambisonics recorder or first order ambisonics recording, and the format and the files and form whatever system. But that's like the F8, I think, is like another $1,000, and the F6 is, I think, 800 or something. So you're talking like around $2,000 total for the microphone and the recorder that you would need to use with it, and extra bulk. It's 2 units, more points of failure, and more setup time. Uh, you know, for what I do with the nature videos, um, the H3 is a fucking game changer, though. For the few complaints that I do have about it, I don't want this to be a you know like a come and go microphone. It probably will because there's not a lot of people doing what I do. It's kind of a niche thing, I guess. But um, this has been such a fucking lifesaver for me out in the field. It's been such a fucking lifesaver. Um, one microphone unit fits right in the same bag with my cameras and stuff, and my lenses too. I got my cameras, uh, my two cameras, my lenses, and the microphone, and a whole bunch of adapters and stuff like that. SSDs, memory cards, to go along with it, and you know, does pretty much everything I need. It's just I don't know if I guess the 32-bit float, the lack of 32-bit float would be my lesser of the concerns. Although I really, really want that 32-bit float in this thing, but the better housing, more durable housing, and better wind rejection, uh, wind rumble rejection. Those would be my biggest two complaints on here. The wind rejection is the biggest problem because I can baby the equipment as best as I can, but uh, you know, even with 32-bit float, that wind rumble, there's really, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that wind rumble, really? Um, But, I definitely would not trust this to fall from 5 feet in the air. Um, but it's a great unit. It's still a great unit. It's not perfect, but so convenient. Fucking game changer for me. Um, I literally, when I'm going to film, I set the microphone and the external monitor and everything up on my cage around the camera, and then I just carry the camera, carry the tripod, set it all up, hook the backpack down on the bottom of the tripod for an anchor, put the camera on top, get my shot framed up, press record, go. And then I basically, after that, I try to get as far as away as I can without losing sight of my shit, and like maybe go smoke a blunt, chain smoke, whatever, whatever, and let the camera and the microphone do its thing, and try to pick up those birds or the seagulls or the river, or as they say it around here, the crick. You know, um, yeah, I like it. I love it. I'd like a new version of it. See what I did there? You see what I did there? Yeah, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Okay, so I'm gonna stop rambling because I've told you, what I like, what I love, what I does. So yeah, thanks for coming and listening to me talk about my microphones and the things that I do. And I love you, baby. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Have some pies. I know I'm about to. I'm working into it, little dudes. I am working or out of it. I am taking my clothes off over here. I'm sorry.